I'm Nicole with morningchores.com. Today we're talking Food Storage 101. In today's video, we will be discussing what food storage is, why to do it, the different types of food preservation, and then I'm going to leave you with some questions to ask yourself that may influence the type of food storage you get involved with. This video is part 1 of a part 2 video series, so be sure to look forward to the second video next week. Food storage is the process of preserving food by appropriate means in order to provide food security for the future. There's lots of reasons why people invest in a food storage system at home. The first reason, as I said in the definition, it provides food security for the future, whether that means you have food in a week, 3 months, 6 months, or a year. It provides enough security so you're not living grocery trip to grocery trip. Investing in a food storage system is also really economical. It can save a lot of money in the long run. By buying fruits and vegetables in season and then storing them in your food storage system, you're getting that fruit and vegetable at its lowest price. Another example is buying in bulk. When you buy dry goods in bulk, you're getting a cheaper price per pound. Food storage also saves a lot of time. Again, initially you will have to invest a little extra time. You won't be spending as much time in the grocery store shopping, and it will also make putting meals together much more easy because you have everything on hand ready to go. There are 5 different ways to preserve your food at home. The first is dehydration, fermentation, freezing, home canning and preserving, and buying in bulk. Dehydration is the process of removing as much moisture from the food as possible. Examples of this would be dried fruit or fruit leather, dried herbs, and beef jerky. The tools required for this can be as minimal as parchment paper. You can use a drying rack, and then you can also go as far as purchasing an electric dehydrator. The shelf life for dehydrated foods is up to 1 year at 60 degrees Fahrenheit or up to 6 months at 80 degrees Fahrenheit. Fermentation has gained a lot of popularity in the past few years for its nutritional benefits. Examples of fermented foods would be things like pickles and sauerkraut. The tools needed for fermentation can be as simple as using a glass mason jar with a lid, or you can purchase some fermentation products like special vessels and special lids in order to get the job done. The shelf life varies from food to food, but the general rule is 6 months to a year. Freezing is the process of storing food below freezing point. This is probably one of the most popular food storage options here in America. Most people have freezers attached to their refrigerator, or you can go as far as purchasing a deep chest freezer for your basement or garage. Pretty much any food can be frozen. The most common is fruits, vegetables, and meats. Shelf life also varies from food to food, but again, the general rule is 6 months to a year. Home canning and preserving is the process of storing food in an airtight container. This is done by either water bath method or pressure canner. Examples of home preserved foods would be canned green beans, canned peaches, and spaghetti sauce. This type of preserving does require a lot of tools, so there is some initial upfront costs that you'll have to invest in, but it will pay for itself. The appealing thing of home canning and preserving is that you're buying fruits and vegetables when they're in season, so you can buy them at bulk and get a cheaper price, and then also it has a long shelf life. The recommendation is 2 to 5 years on your home canned goods. And the last method is buying in bulk. This could be something as simple as your local grocery store having a 10 for 10 sale, and you go in there and buy 50 cans. You can take it to another level by buying your dry goods like grains, oats, and rice in 50-pound bags, and by purchasing them in such large quantities, you're getting a cheaper price per pound. The tools that you need in order to accomplish this or to store these items in your home are food grade buckets, and I also would like to recommend the Gamma Lid. The Gamma Lid makes it super easy to open up these huge buckets and get your food in and out. First thing you need to consider is the size of your family. If there's just one of you, you're not going to need to store as much food as someone who has 7 people in their family. So this is something to think about and consider. Another thing you want to think about is your storage space. If you live in a 1-bedroom apartment, you're not going to have as much space as someone living in a farmhouse in the country. Dietary preferences is another thing to consider. What kind of foods do you like to eat? If you hate vegetables, then you probably don't want to store vegetables. So this is another thing to keep in mind when you're thinking about what types of food you want to put in your food storage system. How much time do you have is a big factor. If you work a 60 to 80 hour week, you're not going to have as much time to put into this, so you might want to stick to just freezing food and maybe buying in bulk. If you work less hours per week, then you probably will have some more time that you can invest into home canning and preserving. Budget is another big factor in this. Like I said, you will have some initial costs in the beginning, and it will save money over a long period of time. The last question you want to ask yourself is, what are your food storage goals? Do you want to store food for a week, a couple weeks, 6 months, a year? This will also be a deciding factor in the size of your food storage system and how much food you're planning on putting in it. That concludes this video. Be sure to stay tuned next week for the second installment of this video, where we'll be discussing how to get started, choosing your storage spaces, and also food organization and rotation. Be sure to head over to morningchores.com, where you can learn all kinds of things on homesteading, DIY, gardening, and much, much more.